Hey, how's it going? Oh, well, that's not very nice. What's up, Evans? No, I cannot sing at all. Um, I got some friends that can sing, and no, I don't know any Slipknot. Um, I got some friends that can sing, but I cannot sing. Um, the friends that I have that can sing, if I can get them to come over, um, I would have them to sing. Um, no, I don't know any Linkin Park or any of that stuff. By the time Linkin Park was coming out, I was pretty much obsessed with Hendrix and blues rock and stuff like that. I have a lot of friends. Yeah, I do know quite a bit of Metallica. I've not played it in a long time, but yeah, I do know Enter Sandman. not played that in a long time, and nothing else matters. Like, you know, all the Black Album stuff. And or I mean, like oh yeah, I know Back in Black. So yeah, that's Back in Black. Somebody was asking about Zach Bryan. Is that a? I don't think I've ever even heard of anybody named Zach Bryan. Is that a? Is that a country guy? Um, I like a lot of country players, particularly Vince Gill and Brad Paisley. I probably could play 4x4 by you if I wanted to, but I don't want to. What's up, Autumn? Maybe tomorrow at church you can play 4x4 by you, or You Look Like You Love Me. Maybe you can do that one. Oh yeah, I can play Crazy Train. Man, I've not played it in a long time though. I have honestly probably not played that song probably in 20 years, no joke. But when I was a kid, that was one that everybody wanted to know. Or crazy Randy Rhoads crap. Um, uh, my favorite Ozzy. What is this? Is this close? I really, it's been a long time since I really like mess with it, but years ago I messed with it, but see if it's like close enough for you to pick it out. Can you tell what that is? And another thing I like to do. Yes, Matthew, I do. And he knows me. Ain't Nativity in Black like bam, 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 or is that Sweet Leaf? Bam, 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 bam. Oh, yeah. Is that Sweet Leaf? Or is that Nativity in Black? Or, no, do not know. I mean, I know that song, but I don't know that solo. I really liked Randy Rhoads a lot, and when I was younger, everybody just like, I mean, I love Ozzy. I love Zakk Wylde. I love Jakey Lee. Obviously, I love Tony Iommi. I don't know Shepherds of Fire. Like, I know that song. I've never messed with it, but actually, I think that song is really cool. I also think Hail to the King is a cool song by Avenged Sevenfold. And probably the songs that I'm saying that I like of Avenged Sevenfold, if there was huge Avenged Sevenfold fans, they would probably say that them are the songs that only like casual fans like or whatever, and that's true. Like, I've never really listened to them, but Sinister Gates, the dude that's the guitar player in them, is really awesome. And he's actually a big fan of gypsy jazz and Django Reinhardt. And if you do not know who Django Reinhardt is, listen to Django Reinhardt. It's unbelievable. Um, oh, hello from Brazil. Randy Rhoads better than Eddie Van Halen. The idea of players being better than each other, better than him or better. Randy Rhoads could do things. Randy Rhoads had a more expansive musical vocabulary, probably, than Eddie Van Halen. And it's probably a little bit overblown as far as like how much classical he knew and stuff like that. And Eddie Van Halen loved classical music also. I mean, his son is named Wolfgang. So for me, I mean, I like Ozzy's music better than I like Van Halen just in general. But one facet of Eddie Van Halen that nobody talks about, sadly, is the fact that when you think of Eddie Van Halen, this is what you think of. You know, that's what everybody thinks of when they think of Eddie Van Halen. But Eddie Van Halen, if you listen to like isolated tracks of Eddie Van Halen on YouTube, Eddie Van Halen's rhythm playing is ridiculously great. And me personally, the Eddie Van Halen song that I like the most, that I think is like his most underrated playing, listen to Finish What You Started. Listen to Finish What You Started. And I've not heard him actually say this. I just think this from listening to it. But Albert Lee is a country player that's like a legend among country players. And he only plays clean. And his stage shows and everything are called distortion-free zones or something like that. No distortion zones or something. But he literally just plays super clean. And Eddie Van Halen, I think, on Finish What You Started, was really paying homage to Albert Lee because he's playing this super clean, chicken picking stuff. And a lot of the dudes that was like labeled shredders and all that stuff was thought of as like they had to have a bunch of distortion. They had to have like 10 Marshalls. They had to have a whammy bar. They had to have like these pickups that are super hot that do this super distorted stuff. And hang on, I'm about to fix that. Hang on just a second. But that should be better. I had 3 amps turned on. But we think of these shredder players as they have to have like a million things of distortion. And Eddie Van Halen did not do that on that song. He literally played just completely clean. And there was nothing for him to hide behind. And so if you want to really hear how crazy good Eddie Van Halen is, listen to Finish What You Started. Which cube do I use? Are you talking about my amp? Right now, I'm just using a Friedman Little Sister. But most of the time, A/B it with a Friedman Runt. And what I really wanted to do was tonight was play different amps and and see if people can tell the difference, because with tone, like everybody acts like it's the idea of where guitar tone comes from and how you get tone and all that stuff. And there's like the thing of like tone is in your hands. And the answer to that is that's true to an extent. But the answer to that is tone is in your hands, plural, not hand, singular. And so tone is in both of your hands. And so if you listen to like a country player, most of the time when people watch players, all they're watching is what's going on with this hand that's on this fretboard. That's the thing that they look at. But all of the really awesome players that have really distinct sounds, that the second that you hear them, you know that it's them. It's this hand over here. It's the hand that has this in it. That really is that if tone is in your hands, the hand that has this in it, or that does not have this in it, that just has these, that is really makes a difference in tone. And like right now, I'm playing a 20-watt Friedman Little Sister, and it's on like, the gain is on like 3, and the volume is on like maybe 8. But there's no pedals, there's nothing. It's literally just plugged straight in. And so, just like if I just play like a Led Zeppelin, if I just play Heartbreakers, like that's just that amp. So now I'll plug into the Friedman Runt, which is also a 20-watt head, but it's plugged into a 212 cabinet, and I'll play the same exact riff, but only through this amp, and I'll show you that it still sounds pretty close to the same. So now I'm just going to plug in a completely different amp, play the same exact thing, same exact Les Paul, all that, and see what it sounds like. So now I'm just plugged into the Runt, which is a 20-watt head going into a 212 cabinet. So it's going to sound more powerful just because it's playing through 212s instead of 1. But it's not going to sound drastically different, I don't guess. So that is just that one amp, that's it. But this right here, this hand is doing a ton of stuff. And especially like metal players and guys that palm mute, they're like a punk guy is just letting his strings ring out on purpose. That's what he's meant to do. But a metal dude is going to probably palm mute, and it's going to be, you know. And yeah, pick angle too. Like I don't use the end of my pick. I really use the side of my pick. And I do that like quite a bit. And so, but that is the same riff through the same thing. It's literally, it's in this hand, it's in this hand. He's Jimmy Page is like muting stuff to keep it quiet, and everybody that says that Jimmy Page is quote sloppy, Jimmy Page is like controlled chaos, and Bruce Dickinson gets his sound by probably drinking a lot of tea and taking really good care of his voice. But it's this hand, it's this hand, and I'm telling you, if Eric Clapton took Eddie Van Halen's Plexi and and he plugged straight into it, and he picked up the Frankenstein and he did all that, he's going to sound this. This is what it would sound like if Eric Clapton picked up Eddie Van Halen's amp. It would, and he played Crossroads. He would sound like Eric Clapton if he did it. He would roll the tone back, this is where Clapton's tone comes from. And so a lot of people say tone is in your hands, and that's part of where tone is. But tone is also in your knobs. And so Clapton would use his neck pickup, roll his tone back, put the volume back just a little bit, and it was just... and it just really thickened that sound up. So then if you play the same thing with that knob all the way up, and when it's rolled down, that's how he got a lot of his sound. Even his Strats, he has a push-pull knob. And so he kind of turns his single coils into humbuckers. And he's doing a lot of stuff just with his knobs to get his sound. Jimmy Page, when a lot of the stuff that he was doing, it was literally just a fuzz. It was sometimes a little bit of delay, sometimes a phaser, but mostly it was a cranked up tube amp, super loud. And that's how he got his sound. Do I turn my picks? I do turn it sideways. And so I actually don't have a reverb really. It's just this room is so echoey. And I'm messing with this mic that Sweetwater sent me, and I really don't know how to use it yet. And so I appreciate you telling me that, even if you're not really meaning to be nice per se. But do I turn my pick sideways? Yeah, I do use the side of my pick a lot, and I feel like by using the side of my pick that if I want to do pinch harmonics and stuff like that, yeah, it's the room. The amps themselves sound awesome. But if I want to do like pinch harmonics or something like that, I feel like that I have an easier time doing them if my pick is turned sideways. But like if I play slide, then most of the time I don't even use a pick. I just use my fingers and that's it. If I'm playing like Duane Allman slide, if I'm playing Jimmy Page slide, I use a pick. If I'm playing Duane Allman slide, I use my fingers, because that's a huge part of how Duane Allman got his tone, was these fingers on his picking hand. Jimmy Page, you don't get the point of the pick, the side is great. Yeah, I agree. But Jimmy Page, I think, always used actually his pick when he played slide. But Duane Allman used his fingers, and if you look at Derek Trucks, he pretty much like always uses his fingers. I honestly don't know if he ever uses a pick anymore. He may have one in his hand. I don't know, but I think he actually does not. But all of them little nuances are how dudes get their tone, and it's how anybody would get their tone. But I wish that more kids would realize and people would realize, like, literally every time you turn YouTube on, there's a new pedal that somebody's telling you, if you have this pedal, then you'll sound like this dude and all that. And that's all just marketing hype. And when I was a kid, there was the Jordan shoes, the Air Jordans. And there was a commercial that showed Michael Jordan just doing all this crazy basketball stuff. And Spike Lee kept going up and saying, it's got to be the shoes. It's got to be the shoes. And Nike used that slogan, it's got to be the shoes, to make a million kids like myself buy the Jordan shoes, thinking that if I had the Jordan shoes, that I could dunk from the free throw line and that I could be the greatest basketball player. And none of that was true. And Fender has done this for years. They're like, oh, we'll relic your Strat, and you can get a relic Strat, and it's a beat up Strat. And Stevie Ray Vaughan had a beat up Strat, and Rory Gallagher had a beat up Strat. And they're not exactly saying it, but they're basically insinuating you really need a beat up Strat to sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan. You really need a beat up Strat to sound like Rory Gallagher. You really need a tube screamer. Ibanez will say Stevie Ray Vaughan used a tube screamer. And so the inference of that to people is, well, if I had a tube screamer, then I would sound exactly like Stevie Ray Vaughan. And if I was being honest, more young players have been disappointed by plugging in the tube screamer that they thought they had to have, only to find out that it did not make them sound exactly like Stevie Ray Vaughan. Or everybody that picked up a wah pedal or a univibe or a fuzz face basically thought, well, this is what Jimi Hendrix used, so if I have this, I'm going to sound like Jimi Hendrix. But in reality, you're not going to sound like Jimi Hendrix. And there's a lot of really good rip-offs of him. And there's people that can really play Jimi Hendrix stuff, and they're incredible at playing Jimi Hendrix stuff. But they are not Jimi Hendrix, and they're not going to be. I mean, he's Jimi Hendrix because he was Jimi Hendrix. There's just one of him. And I really have made a conscious effort myself to just plug into my amp, quit using all kinds of pedals and stuff like that. And I still like pedals that you cannot get the effect out of your amp. Like, there's only so far you can go with a fuzz, but I mean, even to get fuzzy tones, you can just roll your knobs back and you can get fuzzy sounding like that. But I really just wish that more people would realize that they need to just play their amp and get their tone and their sound to come from their amp. And then if they want to add colors to it and stuff like that. But Stevie Ray Vaughan did not sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan because he had a tube screamer. He didn't sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan because he had whatever Strat. Stevie Ray Vaughan sounded like Stevie Ray Vaughan because he done what he done. And he played like he played. And so, but yeah, some of these dudes are getting kind of antsy. What do you guys like? Like Kenneth Frazee, what is it that you like? Oh, some SRV. Ah. some Texas Flood. British rock is actually my favorite rock. I can play Master of Puppets, yeah. That's not really my thing to play that kind of stuff, but yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that you learn years ago. I actually don't know any Thin Lizzy, and I like Thin Lizzy. I've just never really messed with Thin Lizzy, but they are, or was, whatever, an awesome band. But you guys talking about British rock. Do you think that Zeppelin is the best British rock band? You think the Beatles the best British rock band? You think Cream is the best British rock band? Yes. So how to improvise? I mean, it depends on what you want to do. I mean, really kind of what I was just doing with that C. Ray Vaughan was just improvising, but just depending on the chords and stuff like that. So you sort of learn chords if you want to learn to improvise, and learn the notes that are in the chords, and that will really, really, really help you to learn how to improvise. And yeah, major, minor, pentatonic, that's good stuff to learn. And then when you learn that, learn what does not really fit within that, and put that there, and that'll be when you start really having distinct sounds to your solos. Like a song like Georgia on My Mind. It's just G7, B7, A minor, D minor, C major 7, C diminished, G, E, A minor 7, D7, G. That's it. So if I was going to just mess around with that song, then I would just outline like that I'm playing a G. So like, so there's B and D that are in G, which is the major third and the 5. So here is an actual G arpeggio that's right there. So I just play 2 notes of that G chord. So there's the A minor, D, so then if you hit that note, I know that when I hit that note, that it goes with that B7, but it sounds really distinct. you can use that augmented chord as like a way to go back to that one chord. So it's literally, it's like the shape of an F, but when you play it on these strings, that's like a lot of blues songs start with that augmented. Or the Beatles, like Oh Darling. So it's like A major, E, F sharp minor, D, and then B minor, A7, B minor, A7, A. And then he'll use like major thirds and thirds to get back to the one. Then he goes to the 4. Then he goes to the 2. And like using that diminished chord, you just use it going minor thirds all the way and it'll take you back to the 1. And tons of blues songs do that. But if you know where all these little notes are, when you're soloing, you can just sneak these notes in and it makes your solo sound really cool. And a lot of guys do it. And a lot of guys that play jazz, they sort of use chromaticism and things like that to get to just add little color notes that might not fit per se if you just land on that note. But if you just imply that note for like a split second, it really will sound cool. And so if you want to improvise, to me, learning chords is the best way to do that. And licks and stuff are cool, but learn chords and learn how to land on notes that are within chords. And if you do that, like if a song, if you're like playing just a blues shuffle, like in C, and it's like a 1 4 5, so it's like a C, F, and G, and you're just playing like a blues shuffle in that, and so you know you're just like, or whatever. But whenever that you got, when you're like starting out in C. Now it's going to go to F. So there it's went to the 4. But when you go, instead of landing on that exact note that is that chord, so when you go to that 4 chord, and so within that, like when you go to the 5 chord, the 3rd scale degree of every chord is what really emphasizes that you've went to that chord, and it really makes that chord stand out. So when you look at the C chord, that's like C, E, G's, like the 1, the 3, and the 5, and so that's that chord. C, E, and G, that's that arpeggio. So the F arpeggio is F, A, C. The G arpeggio is G, B, D. And so that the major third is like if you're looking at a C chord, and that's your C chord, them two notes, that's your one and that's your major third. So then when you move that to the F, there's your one, F, and there's your major third. Then when you go to G, there's your G, there's your B, and that's your major third. So when you switch chords and the song goes from like C to F, you can land on the major third of that chord, and it'll really let it know that like you're emphasizing that that chord has changed as opposed to just going to the F. So if you're like in C, and so when it does the, and you're back at the one. And so chords, knowing chords will really help you improvise. And I really wish more people would think in terms of chords, and all jazz players think in terms of chords. And the dudes that are really awesome at jazz, when you listen to them play jazz, you can just hear that they're doing, it just sounds like they're doing all of these crazy things, and they're pretty much running through chords one note at a time. But the way that they accentuate the chords and stuff like that just really pulls your ear towards that. And so try and put that in your playing and see if it helps. But yeah, the major and minor. And if you want to do something that's like to make it the thing that makes a major scale a minor scale, you play the same notes, but you flat the 3, you flat the 6, and you flat the 7. Really, my guitar does not sound bad. This camera and stuff sounds bad. In the room, it sounds awesome. But if you flat the 3, the 6, and the 7, that's minor. And that's how you make it get minor. So when you hear people talking about mixing major and minor, the guys that can do that really well are really good players. One solo that you may never have heard of it before, but Eric Clapton does a cover of Don't Let Me Be Lonely Tonight. It's a James Taylor song. And he mixes major and minor a lot in that solo. And it sounds so good. But it's just a matter of where and when to do it. But yeah, I really wish, like him saying that this sounds bad. You guys that know about tech, which I'm assuming that dude does, if I got like a Focusrite Scarlett, I see a lot of people talking about that. So basically, if you plug your amp into that, can you plug your amp into that, or do you have to just use like plugins and stuff? Does anybody know the answer to that? Yeah, I know. That dude's a pro, though. Trust me. Um, thanks, Steve Evans. Um, I mean, I really do wish that I knew how to capture the sound to the room or to the amp, like that you can really hear when you're in the room. Um, that's what I'm talking about, Evans. Um, one thing that I've learned on the internet is there are so many experts, and they're all incredibly great players. And particularly like when you go and look at their channel and they have like 0 videos on there showing how good they are. Them are the best players on YouTube. What's up, Tony B? I've found that the best players on YouTube don't have any videos to show their incredible skill level. And there's a lot of people that will claim that they play and stuff, but then when you're like, well, send me a video to prove that you play, they don't. It's weird. Right, Evans? I think you know what I'm saying. Yeah, actually, Tony B, the other day, Peter Frampton was doing an interview, I think at NAMM, and they asked him about like all the dudes on YouTube that and Instagram and stuff that just come and just play these like crazy shredding parts. And Peter Frampton was like, he was saying, he was like, yeah, he was like, them dudes are awesome. He's like, they do things I definitely cannot do. But then he said, but I would like to play them. I would like to see them in a band. I would like to hear them do that in a band. And so just because somebody can shred and all that, put them in a band and say, now just get in the pocket and let's just groove with each other and just improvise and see where it goes. And then you'll find out. And all these dudes that, you know, now they're amazing players and all this, and they got the big YouTube channels and all that stuff. They're awesome players. But my question is, where is the song? Where are the songs? Guys that have been talked about for 50 and 60 years, you think of them as guitar players, but you think of them for their songs. And the guys that, I mean, Joe Bonamassa is out of this world, incredible player. But I honestly, personally prefer to listen to Skinner or the Allman Brothers, because I feel like when I'm listening to them that I'm getting a song as opposed to just an excuse for a dude to show how good he can solo. And I mean, Joe Bonamassa is unbelievably awesome, but he's more advanced probably than like John Mayer. But John Mayer has a good song catalog, so you can just listen to John Mayer, and his songs have cool changes, his songs have cool tones, his songs have cool lyrics, they have all these things, and the solos might not be as flashy as what you would get from Joe Bonamassa or Ingve or whoever, but the music is like more infinitely listenable. And no, actually, I don't know any clutch. I had a buddy over at my house one time, and he played some clutch for me, and I taught it to him like on the spot. But he really likes clutch, and I mean, it sounded cool, the song that I heard. If there's a band that I was going to recommend to people that they might not have heard, yeah, Clutch. I mean, it was cool what he let me play or let me hear. If you've never heard Blackberry Smoke, Blackberry Smoke is a really cool, like, Southern rock top. They're just a really old school rock band, and they actually have good songs. But Charlie Starr, the dude that plays lead in that band, is really good. And They have an album called they have a lot of albums, but my favorite album by them is probably called The Whippoorwill. And there's a song on it called Sleeping Dogs, and that song is really, really cool. But Blackberry Smoke is a band that you should check out if you're just kind of like an old school guitar fan. Uh, you probably would like Blackberry Smoke. But I just wanted to hop on, mess around. And just mess around. Yeah, Blues Traveler don't get enough love. They was a good band. There's good musicians in that band. And John Popper can blow some harp. And it appears that the trolls have left. I feel like you've made it on YouTube when you do a live stream and people come and troll it. That's kind of a badge of honor to have that done. I had a so-called friend that told me tonight that she was going to come and troll. Yeah, thanks. Are you more of like a modern rock fan, Tony B, or do you like the kind of old school stuff too? I mean, I'm assuming if you like Blues Traveler. Another band that was sort of in the vein of Blues Traveler that kind of got stuck into that poppy, like 90s stuff was Sister Hazel, but their guitar player, his name's like Ryan Noel. That dude is a great player. Yeah, I like metal, and I mean, I like metal a lot, really, but I just don't really spend as much time with it. I mean, the metal bands that I really like are like Tool. I mean, do you consider Alice in Chains metal? I mean, Alice in Chains, the whole grunge bullcrap, I just think that's just a made up media term. I think that Alice in Chains really kind of wanted to be like another Sabbath or like a really heavy rock band. Oh, thanks, dude. And Jerry Cantrell is a great player, and one of his favorite players ever is Davy Johnstone, who is the player for Elton John. And so all that stuff that you hear on like Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, Tiny Dancer, Rocket Man, that's Davy Johnstone. And that dude is one of Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains. That dude is one of his favorite players. And so all of the really good players they do not discriminate on their influences. They don't say, I'm just going to listen to this metal player. I'm just going to listen to this this jazz player or whatever. A great metal player will steal from a great jazz player. And a great jazz player should steal from a great metal player. If there's something that you can take and apply to what you do, then do it. And don't just be like, well, that's not jazz, or that's not metal, or that's not bluegrass, or that's not whatever. Take it and use it. And you can hear all kinds of influences in the older stuff. But yeah, Zeppelin definitely took from blues guys that, like, if you want to hear where Jimmy Page gets a lot of his like crazy bends where he just bends to the moon, go listen to early Buddy Guy. That's where he got it. If you want to hear where Clapton got a lot of Clapton, go listen to Albert King. If you want to hear where Stevie Ray Vaughan got a lot of Stevie Ray Vaughan, go listen to Albert King. And Freddie King. And and Clapton takes from Buddy Guy. One of the things that Clapton will do that he gets from Buddy Guy, like when he goes to the 4 chord, he'll bend the 4 chord just to the moon, and you have to know how to control it, but he'll do it. So he'll do like a lick like. And they got that from them old blues guys. Buddy Guy would do that. Albert King. If you listen to Albert King, he does this with his bends a lot. Now, the first person that you think of when you hear that is C. Ray Vaughan. But Albert King did a lot of like the double stop bends and with his licks, and he would just bend them and hold them. Or Albert King would resolve a lick to the 5 instead of to the 1. No, actually that's a tribute. And man, these things are really awesome. And Gibson, of course, in their brilliance, stopped making them. But I really love this Les Paul. And I've got a 335, but I really play this Les Paul more than anything, really. I've got a custom shop Strat, and I play this Les Paul more than that. Yeah, I saw Buddy Guy when I was like about 18 or 19. I saw him a couple different times. One of the time, and I used to have I had a Strat that I had Buddy Guy's rhythm player sign. The dude's name was Scott Holt, and he played for Buddy Guy for years. And he is a ridiculously good player. And he has an album called Dark of the Night. It's like his second solo album from Scott Holt. If you can find that album, man, that has some sweet blues playing on it. But he was Buddy Guy's rhythm player for years. But I saw Buddy Guy a couple of different times, and he used to do this thing like I saw him outdoors both times, and he would get like a 500-foot cable, and he would just have a roadie walk around with him holding that cable, and he would just go out into the crowd. I mean, Buddy Guy still to this day is awesome. And if you want to hear Buddy Guy when he was like he was probably in his 60s when he made the album, but it's called Sweet Tea. And it come out in like the early 2000s. The Buddy Guy album, Sweet Tea, is crazy good. And I remember him talking about when he made that album, I used to always get like Guitar World when magazines was a thing back in the day. And he talked about he just took a Bassman and literally turned all the knobs up. Yeah, Sweet Pea, you know what I'm talking about. But he turned all the knobs up, and it just sounded ridiculous. And check out that Buddy Guy album, Sweet Tea. It is a great Buddy Guy album. And he's just playing this real like swampy, just straight up blues rock. Also, the Feels Like Rain album, when I was a kid, that album came out when I was pretty young. And I think Feels Like Rain was like the first Buddy Guy album that I ever got. And I spent a lot of time with that album, really like that album a lot. But Buddy Guy is, at one time, Eric Clapton called Buddy Guy the greatest player in the world. And for blues, Buddy Guy is hard to beat. And he's like a great showman. He can be playing with everything cranked to 11, but he can get his band to go down to like a whisper volume and then just burst it back out. Like he just knows how to work a crowd and stuff. Buddy Guy is an absolute legend. And Kirk Hammett said that one of his favorite guitar solos of all time was Stone Crazy from Buddy Guy. And if you've never heard Stone Crazy from Buddy Guy, it is some really awesome old school blues playing with him just with a Strat just cranked up, smoking it. Hey buddy, this is my buddy that shut up. Hey, this is my buddy that okay. Uh yeah, it seems like YouTube has a lot of fans that are big time metal fans. Um um I don't know any Sepultura, but a lot of times when I just come to have fun and mess around and stuff, a lot of people like to hear metal, and I guess it's found its place to sort of survive on the internet because I mean, pretty much, I guess nobody really listens to the radio anymore. Um, Even the last Tool album that came out, I didn't buy a physical copy of it. I just listened to it on the internet. Um, oh yeah, Brown Eyed Girl is great. Like a probably my favorite Van Morrison song is uh, yeah, the radio does suck. Um, Moon Dance, Domino, um, Into the Mystic. Oh man, if you never heard Into the Mystic, that's a great Van Morrison song. Um, I ain't Seek and Destroy like something like that. Something like that. I've not heard that in a long time. But it's something like that. Um, no, yeah, I do have a lot of uh, other guitars. I'm grabbing one that's like, it's tuned different right now, but this is my 335, and it's tuned to open E because I've just been playing Allman Brothers stuff with it for slide. But yeah. But yeah, I like to play. Oh yeah, for Jessica, I'd have to get tuned for that, but because Dwayne Allman played in open E, and that's what I had that tuned to. Which that's not as crazy as like open A and open F and the stuff that like Jimmy Page would do, but still fun to play. But open E is from low to high, A, B, E, G sharp, B, E. It's basically just an E chord when you strum it open. Jessica. Hey, that's good if you want to practice. I never heard that song that you're talking about. But yeah, this 335 is like really good for Allman Brothers, Clapton, all that good stuff. I really like to play like One Way Out on it. I like to play Statesboro Blues on it. Even the Dickie Betts solo. Oh yeah, whipping post. How long have I been 29 years. Yeah, I guess it would be 29 years. I'm 43, and I started playing when I was 14. So, yeah, I guess that would be 29 years. That's a lot of math for somebody from Tennessee to do, but yeah, something like that. Oh yeah, Hendrix. I love Hendrix. Yeah, exactly. Knoxville. What a mad for recovery. Yeah, that's true. Literally a while ago, somebody asked me, they said, when you're running around at UPS, do you just kind of like try to do it in order? And I'm like, yeah, I try to do it in order, but of course the idiot that dispatches it has it, not in order. But yeah, Copperhead Road is pretty close. Actually, in Minerville, like where I live, um, part of Copperhead Road comes through here. But I'm not a bootlegger, if you're wondering. And I've also been told that I look like Jesse Pinkman on Breaking Bad, and I always tell people I don't sell meth, so don't ask. No, I don't know any canned heat. Uh, all of them bands like that though was really good. Uh, yeah, if you look on my channel, I did a video once, like a short, pretty far down in there, but you may be able to like put it in a search or whatever and see if it would do it. But I did a video of like using like 2 or 3 octave pedals and a Qtron, which is like an auto wah, to do Frankenstein. And I did like get some pretty cool sounds out of that. But Frankenstein, really, without all the craziness, like. And that's. Something like that. And that's like a really common move in rock, like that. Jimmy Page uses that a lot. Whitesnake uses that. Like Renegade from Styx uses that. Or like Slow and Easy from Whitesnake. Really common move, or like For Your Life from Zeppelin. But yeah, that sliding them around, that's the rock sound. I hope it's not on drugs, but you never know. Hey, what's up, dude? I guess if you're an Eagles fan, you're pumped up about the Super Bowl, for which Probably the riffs have been told uh, to, stay out of stay out of it, and by stay out of it, that means help the Chiefs. But yeah, uh, yeah, Black Dog. Uh, I can sort of play it. Well, I don't know that anybody plays it right. There's kind of like a myth that nobody plays it right, but it's basically like a uh, what was I playing just before Black Dog? Uh, you mean a Zeppelin song that I was playing before Black Dog? Uh, any real Robert Johnson? No. Robert Johnson via Eric Clapton? Yes. um, the Zeppelin song I think I was playing before. Um, I was playing "For Your Life" from Zeppelin. It's like that's Zeppelin. This is a Jimmy Page riff that more people should know. It's kind of like an underrated Zeppelin riff, but yeah, I was playing War Pigs a while ago. Paranoid, I've not played in a long time. I think it's like a. Yeah, Paranoid. I don't care if people would say, oh, I've heard that song a million times. It still rules no matter what. I'll never get sick of listening to Black Sabbath, actually. But somebody's asking about Ian Anderson. Fairies Wear Boots rules, dude. Um, uh, yeah, when I was 14, I also wished I was born in the 70s. Um, I feel like anybody that loves like all the classic players and the old cool guitars and stuff, like I kind of feel like they all wish they'd been born in the 70s, really. When I was 14, all the dudes on my wall was pretty much dead by the time I was 14. So don't do drugs, I guess. But they could still play some sweet guitar, though. But I've got to get in the bed, so I just wanted to come and chill and have fun playing. So now go and practice Uh, yeah, I love Duke Ellington too. Um, if you want to hear a cool cover of a Duke Ellington song, listen to Wes Montgomery do Cottontail. It's something like a. I can't remember exactly how to play it, but listen to Wes Montgomery do Cottontail. It's a Duke Ellington song, and man, it is really, 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 really fast. um, but go and look through my channel, and if you like Zeppelin, Skinner, the Allman Brothers, Clapton, all the good stuff, go and look through my shorts and stuff. And I try to always put one up every day, just playing, stuff. And if you have any questions of things you'd like to learn or whatever, just holler at me. I really want to help people learn how to do stuff for free. There's a lot of people, hey, thanks, dude. There's a lot of people on YouTube that are charging for stuff that they themselves probably also got for free. So if you want to learn how to do stuff, holler at me. And do I do any Hank Williams? Hank Williams is my favorite singer of all time. My absolute favorite singer of all time. I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry is my favorite song ever. And yeah, it's a 335. And I've got some friends that was in this live chat earlier that are really good bluegrass players. And I'm hoping like in the next few weeks or so to get them to come over and do a version of I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. And because I just think it would be fun. But I'm kind of debating on whether to use a slide for it. But yes, I do love Hank Williams. Greatly love Hank Williams. Love Sick Blues. Move It On Over. Your Cheating Heart. My Bucket's Got a Hole in It. No, not for. Well, maybe one. They're humbuckers, but maybe one of them is a 490 if I'm not mistaken. This is a 2003 one from like the Memphis factory, and if you look on the back, it's got the little Memphis logo to show when they would make them in Memphis. But I'm actually not sure. I just always say humbuckers. But I talked to a dude that worked at the Memphis factory, and he said that I got lucky to get this one because when they hadn't been in Memphis long when they started building them there, and so he said this one probably got a lot of TLC because they wasn't making as many in the early stages of that factory being there, and so that's why maybe this one is a good one. But if you can find a good 335, man, they're really fun to play, which, I mean, I love Clapton, and so Cream and stuff like that really made me want a 335 when I was a kid, and so when I got older, I was able to buy one via UPS. But I'm out of here, so hopefully see you dudes along the trail later.